11 years, Claudia has been frantically searching for
Terry,
whom she calls the man of her life. Claudia met and fell in love with Terry when you were on a date with his best friend.
right.
What happened?
Well, actually, his best friend and I had dated, and we had broken up because his best friend started dating my best friend.
Okay.
So it got a little sticky there, and anyway, came time for their junior prom, Winter Wonderland dance, and his best friend asked me to go. And of course I accepted because I thought it was the right thing to do, and then I decided not to go. And when I decided not to go, his best friend brought Terry over.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Yes. He brought him over, and Terry was like, you need to go to the dance. You have to go to the dance with Dennis. And I said, okay. So I went to the dance. I ended up going to the dance, and I had a wonderful time with Terry.
With him?
With Terry.
Okay. Was it love at first sight?
For me.
It was?
Yes.
And what was it that you were attracted to?
Just he was unusually funny. He was just, he had this personality that was just so crazy and wild, and he was just so, I don't know, it was just the suave and the funny and everything.
Now, there was more than just the one dance, right?
Oh, well, he was there with his date. Terry was.
No, I mean after that, there was a romance.
Oh, yes, there was.
Okay, how long did it last?
It lasted for about a year and a half, right before 12th grade ended for him.
Okay, and what went wrong?
Well, see, I don't know what went wrong. He kind of disappeared.
What do you mean disappeared?
He just stopped talking to me. He stopped calling, and I didn't know what was going on.
And you never found out why?
Well, later, yes. He wrote me, and he told me he decided to go to the Navy, and he didn't want to have me wait.
Okay.
So he did invite me to his graduation from boot camp, and I went.
30 years.
27.
27. She says she takes full responsibility for the breakup and is desperately trying to find him. Take us back to the beginning of the relationship. How did you meet him?
I met him 30 years ago. His younger brother and I had actually gone to a church camp together. And his younger brother, who was 3 years younger than I was at the time, had a crush on me. And so after a few days of trying to get rid of him, couldn't. I left him follow me around. And at the end of the week, we had a family picnic, get together. And at the picnic, Larry came with his family. And Eddie introduced us. And as Eddie said, he just kind of snuck right in there.
And took over?
Yeah.
How old were you?
I was 14.
And how old was he?
17.
So this is your first love,
Yeah.
right? Was it an instant attraction?
Yeah.
What happened?
Definitely. I can remember his first smile at me was like, I think I melted. I was like,
All right, what went wrong? Now, this is hard for you to talk about, right?
This is very hard for me to talk about.
All right.
I did not feel very safe and secure at that time. I had sort of a hardship at home I had to live with from my childhood. And I felt such safeness and such security in Larry. And when he went to Nam, all my safety and security flew out the window. And I just, because of my insecurities in my young life, I acted out a lot of stupid things. I was a very rebellious teenager. And I went partying with older kids.
You met Dennis when you were freshmen in high school.
Right. I transferred in midterm, so I went to the second semester. So I was walking into an already established freshman group.
Oh, that's hard.
It's difficult.
What do you remember most about your high school sweetheart, your relationship with Dennis?
Both of us were introverted, so it took us a long time to start talking and get acquainted. Mostly we met like in the hallways, at lunch. We were finally formally introduced by my friends and got to talking. But always a matter, he was very shy. I was very shy. It took a long time for us to start talking.
Not too shy to give you a Valentine, though.
No, he wasn't. Senior year.
Gave you a Valentine.
Yes.
What happened with Dennis? I mean, why did you break up?
When I went to nursing school, I graduated, went to nursing school, and I had some emotional problems at that time. And I had all these big ideals. I was going to go in, find myself a doctor like Sue Barton did.
Oh, you were going to be the nurse and marry the handsome doctor.
Yeah, I was going to marry Bill the intern, and, and we were going to go off together, have this big career, and save the world and everything.
Okay.
So Dennis was just going to be a lowly electronics person. So
Oh.
so I just figured I wanted to break it off. And I guess it was my first term in nursing school. He called me one day, and I said, the house mother was on the line. I said, tell him I don't want to talk to him. Tell him, yeah, I don't want to talk to him. Just tell him I'm not here. And I heard his voice on the other end of the line, so he knew I had said all this.
Oh, wow. Now, did you become a nurse?
Yes, I did.
Did you marry a doctor?
No, I didn't. I married
No.
a paramedic.
You married a paramedic. Okay. Are you still married to the paramedic?
No, we're separated now.
Paula says that when she and her true love, Richard, broke up 8 years ago, her life turned upside down. How did you meet Richard?
We met in a bar in Ensenada. It was kind of like we saw each other from across a crowded room, and I saw these incredible pair of blue eyes, and I just fell in love.
In Mexico?
In Mexico.
Were you both on vacation?
Yeah. He was in the Navy, and he was on leave, and he was based out in Florida, so the time together was very short. We had like one date before he moved back to base.
And how long ago was this?
1987, so I was 19 years old at the time.
Richard proposed to you after only a few weeks of dating. What did you think?
Well, it was through a letter, and it was kind of shocking. I accepted, but after quite some time thinking about it, I got cold feet and didn't go through with it.
You did not go
No.
through with it. You're the one who turned him down.
Yeah.
Now, you wrote us a very beautiful letter about him. Where's that letter?
Well,
Somewhere in that packet, all right. You want to read me part of that? I'll hold the letter.
I met Richard James Ryan III in a small cantina in Mexico. Our eyes met across the smoky bar. I don't ever remember seeing eyes as blue as his. I fell in love with him at first sight. I have cried and fantasized that I would someday meet Richard again and ask him why he left. I know that, I think. Every man I've ever dated since Richard I've compared to him, and I haven't completely gotten over him, so.
Why did the relationship end?
Well, I told him I thought I was too young to get married, and he was based at Virginia at that time, in Virginia at that time. So, and I'd never been there. I don't know anybody there, so I didn't want to go.
You didn't go to see him? This is Connie. Connie says she was 21 when she fell head over heels for her true love, Christopher. You just told me the name, Christopher
Strickland Bell.
Strickland Bell. Was it love at first sight?
Oh, absolutely, without a doubt.
How did you meet?
I had moved to South Carolina with a friend and had gone into a Pizza Hut looking for work. And I walked in, and Chris was the assistant manager. That's how we met.
Did you get the job?
Absolutely, yes.
What was so special about him?
Oh, he was warm and funny, and considerate, gentle, very passionate about his beliefs.
Was he someone you hoped to marry?
Yeah, that was an option I really considered.
Okay. After several months of living together, something happened in your relationship. What was it?
Well, I had to leave unexpectedly. I had gotten a call from a family member. My father had taken critically ill. I had about an hour's notice, and I had to get on a plane and come back to New York area. I ended up being home with my family, trying to take care of that situation for a good 4 or 5 weeks, and that's kind of when our relationship started to fall apart.
Did he call you in the 5 weeks that you were here?
Well, first his friend, his best friend in the world, Pete, called at about a 5-week period. General conversation, how's Dad, how's everything going, you know, we miss you, come back. And then he had Chris call. About a week later, Chris called me. We talked, same type of conversation, But then we got into discussion like, well, what was going to happen with us? And we decided that I would get on a plane and go to where he was for a visit and see what the maybes were that he was giving me. Maybe we would date, maybe we would live together again.
Arlene, it took, which was the hardest couple to find? Which was the hardest one of those?
I think Terry was pretty hard.
That was the hardest one, okay. Do most of these couples that haven't seen each other in a long time, do they stay together?
Well, you know, a lot of them don't report back to us, but I think it depends on how you come into it. If you come into it with an open mind and you come into it willing to accept them for who they are now, not just who you hoped they were then, that they'd still be the same person. I think if you come into it open-minded, you bet you have a great chance of having a wonderful relationship.
Because 30 years is a long, long time.
It is.
What bit of advice for someone looking for their lost love? No, you stand up. Go ahead.
I would say, finding them is not so difficult anymore. There's a lot of technology and databases and stuff to find people. The real trick is being willing to stand up and take the risk and say, because I bet you there's a lot of people in this room who have somebody they'd love to find, but they're so worried about how it's going to happen. You just got to stand up